Hello, my name is Dean Contover. I almost forgot my name. And this is the current buzz. I didn't forget that. Thank you for watching today. Today we have Joe Hungler. He's the executive director of the Boys and Girls Club of Greater Lowell, and he's going to talk about the club and probably ask you for donations. You do run on donations, don't you?
Pretty much, yeah.
Pretty much. And the head of Market Basket is usually a big donator to a certain degree at the beginning.
They have always been a good friend of the club.
Okay.
They don't like their name in lights.
Yeah, okay.
So
that's why I didn't mention any names.
Yeah.
I said Market Basket. Okay. So we're going to talk about...
there's a lot of stories around like hot dogs coming out of the back of the Dummer Street building going to the movies on Saturday mornings at the original club on Dutton Street. And,
oh, is that right? Oh,
yeah.
That's interesting. Never heard that one. But I heard other stories.
We actually had mini hot dogs at our 125th anniversary to pay homage to that because so many people have talked about those stories.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah.
All right, it must be true then.
Yeah.
Where they smoke this fire. The Boys and Girls Club, it's a national organization, isn't it?
It's a national organization, but each, it's a federation, so each one is independently run, but you have to have your, the board and myself, the team, are responsible for our own budget, and
I see.
Our board chooses the executive director. The national office can offer advice, but they don't get say in that. Like, it's not like some national organizations where you might move around, might be kind of told you're moving around to Minnesota or wherever else.
Right.
There are people who do that. I've worked myself in a few different clubs, but it's all either directed by the board, or if you're not executive director, then it's the execs who's making those decisions.
How many people on the board?
Right now we have about 15 board members.
And
Sometimes
who is the board member? I mean, who are the members of the board?
It's a mix of folks. So there are folks who work for UMass Lowell, folks who work for Middlesex. There are a number of Chelmsford residents. We actually have a board of directors and a board of trustees. A few of the Chelmsford folks off the top of my head are Carrie Meikle, Dr. Mark Gilchrist, local pediatrician. I'm sure we have some other Chelmsford folks. I'm just spacing right now who they might be. But we have folks who work like down in Boston, but they live in Lowell or grew up in Lowell. We have folks who work for the local banks, for Fred C. Church, for a lot of different organizations. We try to get people with different skill sets, people with different connections. Some folks who are a little bit on the younger side. We have some young alum. We have people who've been club parents.
Oh, okay, that's interesting, yeah.
Well, they're the ones who understand the most what the needs are, right?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
So you want to have those voices at the table. We don't have any youth on our board, but we do get a ton of feedback from our youth as we go through things. And they actually had more influence on our new building than anybody else. I mean, all the safety and all that stuff, yes, we paid attention to all that. But in terms of the design, they're the ones who choose whether they walk in the door or not. So.
Okay. When did this specifically start? In other words, in Lowell, I had a 1900 date or a 1906 date, and I know the new building.
A lot of dates I can throw out.
Yeah, exactly. And then I know the new building was built in the 70s. I remember that, and that was a big benefactor that gave you money for that.
Yeah.
Right. And to be built.
Yeah. So I'll give you the abbreviated history in Lowell.
Okay.
1900, James Stewart was the first. He was the only staff person back then. You could have 100 kids in one staff back in those days. I'd get fired for that today.
Okay.
But he was the first staff person. The clubs in America started in 1860. There was 4 women who started giving kids cookies and getting them off the street. But it was founded in Lowell to keep kids off the street, where they might otherwise get in trouble. And 1913, it moved into Dutton Street. It's right next to the Hafners on Dutton Street in Lowell. Now it's an empty lot, or part of their parking lot. And then in 1974, as you mentioned, it moved to, is when the building opened on Middlesex Street. And to go back to your question, 1900 is when the doors opened. 1906 is when the national organization started.
I see. Okay, that's where.
Yeah, and then 1909
right.
is when we became official with the state, like the filing with the Secretary of State. type of thing.
Paperwork. Yeah,
Yeah.
as an organization.
Yeah.
Yeah, nonprofit.
Yep, we're 501c3.
Yeah.
So, and then in 1997, we began serving girls. Well, we started serving girls before that. The name changed in 97.
Okay.
And then
It's about time.
I was part of that when I was in Nashua as well, and I was gym director back then. But
Was there a lot of problems with that in the sense that girls coming to the club? Was there?
no, there weren't problems. There was a lot of stress over it. I remember as a kid so I went to the club in Manchester as a kid, Manchester, New
Okay.
Hampshire, and my allergies are kicking
Oh,
up
I'm
here.
sorry.
No, not you.
It's all right.
It's, but
I don't have a napkin or anything like that.
But I remember being at a meeting, I had gotten an award, and I was in a meeting with all the execs and board chairs from around the area, and they were fighting over whether it should be, that's when they were making the name change nationally to Boys Club, to Boys and Girls Club and all that. And some people were like, it should stay because, girls are only going to make it harder. It should just be a boys club. Other people were very much on the other side. And so the club I went to as a kid, when I first signed up, because I didn't start going until I was a freshman in high school, when I first signed up, it was the Boys Club, Manchester Boys Club.
Mm-hmm.
Then it was the Girls and Boys Club of Manchester. Then it was the Boys and Girls Club of Manchester. And now it's the Boys and Girls Club of Greater Manchester.
Okay.
It went through a lot of names in a short
Yeah.
period of time.
Interesting. So,
But there weren't problems. I think the biggest problem we had, well, the first week there was problems because I got girls' basketballs, and the boys hit all of them. And the next day they came in and there was no basketballs, and I was like, well, you'll get basketballs as soon as I get my basketballs back for the girls. The boys had to adjust,
Yeah.
But the other thing that happened is our numbers went way up because now all of a sudden if you're a parent, okay,
Right.
I'm not sending my girl over here
Yeah.
or my son over here, or I'm keeping them at home because I can't do that. Now I have a place I can send them both. So not only are you adding the siblings, the girls, but you're also getting families where, okay, now my transportation's figured out, I can send them both to one place.
that's great.
Yeah.
I had a friend who had a boy and girl, and he sent them to the Boys and Girls Club
Yep.
of Lowell. And did he drop them off at 3:00, or did they get dropped off? How's that done?
Three-quarters of the schools in Lowell drop off at the club.
Oh,
so
they
there's
do?
buses
That's
that
cool.
take them there. It is.
Yeah.
And then the high school's walking distance.
Yeah.
And
The new,
And then
the new high school.
yes, the half new high school. The other half still being worked on.
Yeah.
And then there's two middle schools that are also walking distance. And then there is the kids who go to the tech, the Greater Lowell Tech, they get city bus passes. So they can get dropped off at the
Oh,
club
that's
as well.
cool.
And then the charter schools all also can get dropped off at the club. And then other kids, find their own way there. We've had kids from Chelmsford who come over. One of whom is actually was former Youth of the Year, Yvonne Welch, and she graduated, I believe, from Curry College and is now going for her master's at Boston College in higher education. And she's been coming back and doing some things with our
That's
kids.
good.
And
Right. Now,
know.
do you know when she graduated from Chelmsford High School? Do you remember?
she,
I presume.
yeah, I think it was Chelmsford High, and it would have been in 5 years. She's graduated college a year ago. So last year was 2024, so she must have graduated in 2020.
Okay. Yeah. Interesting. So most of the time, they're dropped off after school till the parents pick them up at 5 or 5:30, 6.
6 is when it closes for the younger kids, and we stay up until 8 for the teens.
Okay.
So sometimes the teens will go home first, especially if they're going to the high school and they live
Right.
nearby. They can go drop their stuff, do whatever. Some of them have activities after school, and then they come by for the evening. But yeah, they come after school. A lot of them will do their homework right away. We do have
Good.
folks from the colleges I mean, we have staff in every room, so there's always going to be
Right.
somebody who's been through all of our training, all
What
of
about
that.
volunteers?
We have a ton of volunteers. We're always looking for more. We always need volunteers.
Well, did you hear that Chelmsford Boys and Girls Club needs volunteers in downtown Lowell?
Yeah,
And
right off the Lord Overpass, just down the hill.
get in contact with them. I mean, there's no problem getting in contact.
If you go on our website, there's links right there about how to get involved, and there's a lot of options there. It could be as simple as a one-time serving food, or
that's
other folks come in once a week to help with homework, and then certain folks who have particular passions, if they line up with something that we're doing, we have the music studio, recording studio, we have, like I said, all the education pieces. We do a lot of reading programming, some math, skill building.
You have STEMs too.
A lot of STEM stuff, and that's where UMass Lowell and Middlesex Community College are really helpful, because
Kidding.
having staff who are experts on all these things is impossible. Like, I don't care how talented you are and how big your budget is. There's too many things out there that, and it keeps
Especially
changing.
now with drones, and they're talking about having drones in high school.
Yeah, we're not doing drones yet,
No,
but
yeah.
but we
I mean,
do a lot of cool stuff. So like UMass Lowell kids come in, all right, young adults come in,
Right.
and they teach our kids, like they have them build filters to show how you filter like the water from the river or whatever. And then they also have had them build their own heart rate monitors and things like that, which is like all right over my head.
Right.
But we also bring industry in to do that. So
Wow, that's interesting.
somebody has come in and taught our kids how to separate the DNA of a strawberry. Again, way over my head. But it's the same thing in music, right? Like, I know youth development really well, and I make sure that our music clubhouse is incorporating youth development into music, but I know nothing about music besides what I like to listen to, but our kids, they learn how to play guitar or make beats.
Play the violin.
We don't do as much classical.
Classical.
And they like doing a lot of the electronic stuff and songwriting and that kind of thing. We actually have a young man who, he came to us, he knew how to play the keyboards, he did it at church, and he learned how to create music online and make beats. And he even when he was a club member, he was selling those beats for like $500 a pop to people and stuff.
Wow.
And then he's now making six figures with people out in LA
Wow, good for him.
doing the backing beats for people who are.
Now that's a news
making
story.
music. What's that?
That's a news story.
That is cool. Yeah.
Isn't it? I
Yep.
mean,
He's
making six figures, and started from Lowell, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that should be pushed along. Right?
Absolutely.
You know?
Well, and I think that's what we try to do with all of the things we do. And not every kid is going to end up
No.
with six figures or whatever. But our vision is ending generational poverty. So we want to make sure that kids have the skills, the connections, the resources they need. And Carrie, who's on our board from Chelmsford, Carrie Meikle, she talks often about, like, we want to make sure that these kids have the same things that our kids have. And that doesn't mean they have to have, fancy, right? It just means they have access to STEM. They have access to doing robotics. They have access to doing
great.
these things. And within those, like, we start at age 8. You start off, it's got to be, you feel safe, you can be yourself. This is a place where I can kind of let my guard down a little bit. And you get a warm meal. There's caring adults. So your basic needs are met. And then from there, you kind of go on and you're kind of introducing different things to kind of broaden their sense of the world. But then in middle school, you're really trying to do that, as you're entering high school, like, all right, what's possible for me? Because that's an age where kids sometimes will be like, I'm getting A's and B's, but I don't see anybody around me where that's paid off for them. So if in your neighborhood, what you see is adults who are great people, but maybe they didn't have the opportunity to become somebody who used an education.
Or the motivation.
Sometimes it's motivation, but a lot of times it's, what I've seen a lot over time is kids in that 7th, 8th grade is when all of a sudden they start being like, well, why bother? Because they don't see the end goal, right? So the motivation wanes mainly because they don't feel like that opportunity is for them. So they have to know that is a path they can take. And I don't care if they end up going to college. I don't care if they end up, I mean, the plumber's probably going to make more than the kid who went to college, right? Or if they choose, there's 1,000 different careers out there now. But the idea is to expose them to any of those as possible. So you do that like on a higher level with like that 8th, 9th grader, and then as they get into the later years of high school, we do a lot more things where we'll do speed dating with careers. Not dating, but that way you can meet 20 different careers in the same day. Usually we pick 10 careers that the kids have heard of and that they ask for, and 10 careers that we know are like, these are the up and coming careers, this is what Lowell's looking for, whatever. And a number of things happen with that, right? So part of it is the kids learn, oh, I got a D, I'm all done. I made a mistake, I messed up, this semester didn't go well, I can't go to college anymore. Well, what they hear from these folks is, oh yeah, I started out in this career, I dropped out of college, but then I went back and I had this job and it didn't work out, but then I ended up over here and then I ended up over here. Like, it's not a straight line. And for kids to see that, because we all stub our toes at time, right? And knowing that stubbing your toe, getting a bad grade, even if you mess up a whole school year, it's 1 year, and for them, that's 10% of their life, right? But for us, that's, I'm not saying we want kids to stub their toes, right? But when it happens, okay, but there's a way to recover from that. And what do you do moving forward?
Like when my daughter went to college, I said, listen, you're going to have high highs and you're going to have low lows.
Absolutely.
And you just have to adjust to that. And knowing that your low is low is your lowest low, and the next one is going to be your highest high. And that's going to happen all the way through college. And you went to college. I mean, you went to University of Vermont.
Yeah, and I ended up, and then I went to college online to get my master's down in Clemson.
There you go. That's a school I always wanted. For some reason, I always wanted to go to Clemson.
Yeah?
I don't know why. It was just Clemson.
As long as you like Clemson, because it's in the middle of nowhere.
No, I understand. There's a lot of colleges.
I only went down there twice, and for like 2 days both times. One might have been a week.
Right.
But and then I went back for graduation the second time.
It has a rich Southern culture.
Yeah.
So I'll put it at that. Yeah.
But I think that that's the path, right? Like, so you're doing all that, but then when you get to the high school years, it's okay. Whether it's music or whatever it is. Well, let me take a step back. Part of it is when you're doing the fun things, the basketball, the group games, the table games, foosball, whatever. You're constantly learning soft skills. You're learning how to deal with conflict. I won, you lost, you cheated, whatever. And you're learning how to get along with people from different environments. Marty Mean was recently talking about that. He did a little video for us. And that was one of the things he said he got a lot out of was like, all right, I learned how to get with people from different neighborhoods, not just the people in my backyard. And learning how to communicate, right? Like if you ask any company, the soft skills and the communication skills are one of the first things they ask for. People sometimes ask why we spend money on a games room. Well, we spend money on a games room because that is where you learn so many communication skills. It may not look that way or feel that way to the kids, but that's a lot of what's happening. And then we continue that. So like if you're on a basketball team, well, you're late. All right, well, it's going to affect your playing time. Oh, you're being mean. No. This is because when you're 16, 17, 18, you're going to want a job. If you want to keep that job, you have to be on time. So yes, there is the piece of you're part of a team and you need to be responsible for your teammates, so you're teaching them that. But you're also teaching them, even though you're 12, you need to be thinking about the fact that when you get a job, you need the skill of being on time. Because it is a skill, even if it seems like a...
It sure is. Let me give you an example. My daughter works for a company out of Boston, but its corporate headquarters in San Francisco. And she tells me that these kids coming out of college never worked in their lives. Their parents paid for their college. And we're talking about good colleges, Providence, Holy Cross. They don't know how to interact with people. They might have gotten good grades, but they don't know.
Yeah.
They don't know how to act.
People come to our auction, and one of the things that happens at our auction, which by the way is coming up on December 4th, it's at the Lowell Memorial Auditorium. Okay. Fun event. Our kids play, the musicians play, our kids speak. Younger kids greet you at the door. Again, we're teaching those 10, 11-year-olds some job skills of, hi, how are you? That's intimidating to do to a whole bunch of strange adults, especially in an environment where everybody's dressed up, so that's not like the norm, right?
Right.
And but then our teens, they go around and they sell beads. The $2,000 or so we raise from the beads is not a make or break for the night, because we raise well over $400,000 that night.
How much is it cost to go to?
It's $175.
Okay, $175. All right.
And
someone's
and there's
interested
dinner.
in going,
Yeah, it's dinner, a silent auction, a live auction, and
Yeah.
like I said, you hear a lot from our kids. They play music. Also a great experience to play music in front of.
That's a big venue to have
Yeah.
a lot of people. 200, 250?
No, 4 to 450.
Wow.
Yeah.
Good for you.
There's a lot of people in this community in Greater Lowell that really care
Step
about
up to
kids.
the plate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And but at that event, they sell beads. So the 2,000 or so in beads, yes, it matters. But when we raise $400,000, it doesn't make or break the night, right? But what it does do is shake hands, look you in the eye, have to ask you for something. Would you buy beads? This is why it matters. And we've had people come up to us afterwards who are like, I didn't learn how to do that till I was in my 40s. You know, to your point.
Exactly. I mean, they don't know how to make cold phone calls because they're working on their phone and they come into a business and you have to make cold phone calls
Yeah.
sometimes, and they don't know how to talk. Maybe you should
Yeah.
have a special course in regards to phone etiquette.
Yep, that is part of our college and career
Oh, is it?
programming
Oh.
when they learn how to write resumes and practice interviews. But part of that is going in and talking to somebody. It's a different kind of cold call, but it's like,
Yeah.
do you have any positions open? This is why I should be a good candidate. And and sometimes they do that by walking in the door, and sometimes you pick up the phone and call places. So there's a lot of that. But then it's also making the connections, right? Like, I'm guessing that your daughter, based on, you seem to know a lot of people in Chelmsford, and
I wouldn't say a lot. I know some people.
Yeah.
Through her participation in the school system, you know, you do
yeah,
meet people.
but I mean, on this show, I'm sure you know a lot,
yeah,
of people, right?
I meet people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if she wanted to be a lawyer, say, or a doctor or an engineer, you probably could introduce her to somebody in that field to make a connection, right? If you're living in the Lower Highlands or the Acre, you may know those people, but there's less of them that live in that neighborhood. So depending on what the career is, we try to make sure our kids have access to power, whatever that power is, whether it's in a corporation or whether it's in the government.
Very important.
We bring our kids to D.C. every year.
Oh,
We bring
good.
like a handful of teens down there.
Good.
And we bring them to City Hall so they can understand how government works. Like, this is your government too.
Right.
And
State House?
yep, of course.
Of course.
And we bring those folks to the club.
Okay.
And we also connect them to different businesses. So, you know, one of our kids, he started out going to the tech, and he was a plumber, and he was getting ready to do, you know, they start going out in their sophomore year, I think it is, they start needing tools. Well, they were prohibitive for his family. And so we had a small fund that we were able to get him the tools he needed.
That's nice.
And he was not the only one. We've done that for other kids.
Yeah.
But he's going along, and that's his path. He's going to be a plumber. He actually, through the city manager, ended up getting he met the city manager, asked him for a job. Again,
Good for
learning
him.
that,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And
Doesn't hurt.
ended up with a job, not with the city, but like with somebody else. And the funny thing is, then he starts going. He went on some of the college trips and stuff that we do, not so much because he wanted to go to college, but his buddies were going on Saturday. What else am I doing on Saturday? Let me go on the club field trip. And he finds out UMass Lowell has an entrepreneurship program. He met some students from the business school who were volunteering at the club. Again, making those connections that are informal, not in your face, but just kind of like hearing about what they
Subtle.
do. And all of a sudden it's like, oh, people in business school aren't that different than me. So anyhow, he gets into UMass Lowell. He's going to study entrepreneurship. So now he's thinking, I can have my own plumbing shop and have people work for me. Now that's not day one. You got to get all the skills and experience. But then he's a little nervous, right? So he has an IEP, individual education plan. So needs some supports with that. Well, because of our relationship with UMass Lowell, we get him on campus. He audits the class, sits in along with one of